Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Veterans in Politics Municipal Endorsement Interviews 2019. Our next set will be Henderson City Council Ward 1. So again, we want to thank you on behalf of Veterans in Politics for being here. I know we have our candidates sitting down. So we're going to open this up with a 2-minute introduction of yourself. So 2-minute introduction of yourself. So we'd like to go first.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Veterans in Politics for inviting me to this interview. My name is Vella. I'm a student at CSM. I'm studying international business and political science. I'm running because I believe that we have a huge problem in Henderson that is reflective of politics nationwide. We have people in office who just are not passionate about politics, and they've been put into place by special interests and money, and it's quite frankly, it's disgusting. I also believe that our city council, the current members of it, they focus on the wrong issues at hand. They focus on development of our city in terms of buildings and population growth, rather than realizing that we need to help our people grow as individuals. We should be focusing on youth development, our educational system, and the fact that we have a drug and crime rate growing in downtown Henderson. And eventually it's going to trickle into West Henderson and some of the newer development areas, which in turn leads to us not having a future. Our youth will not grow into successful individuals, and we will not thrive like they claim we are thriving now. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Eddie Hamilton, my fellow patriots, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your service to the country that we all love, the United States of America. I'm running for city council for 3 reasons. One is local issues: crime, high taxes, and draining the swamp in the city hall. Secondly, running because of state and local politics. You know that the government in Carson City is a neo-communist government. They just grabbed your guns yesterday. No debate, nothing. So I'm going to fight that using the city council to write ordinances to nullify illegal and unconstitutional laws being done all over the country. Now in Henderson, crime rate is going up. We live in the area on the east side, and it is ripe with crime. In our neighborhood, we got break-ins, we've got car thefts going on, we've got a whole bunch of crime. And the city council is owned by the developers. This is a job paying 50 grand, but they spend almost $1 million on the campaign. Most of them come from developers. So we're going to try to change that. That is correct. Full of crime. Property taxes going up. I'm going to be the best friend that taxpayers have in City Hall. Henderson is supposed to be a suburbia, but it's growing right now like crazy.
30 seconds.
Not enough supermarkets. Plenty of new homes. Stack and pack. Things are piled up on top of each other. The whole Agenda 21 ideas. You know, so we're going to change that. That's what we're running for. City Council to make Henderson a better place to live. Thank you.
Conrad. My opponents here have already said it, but I don't think we can say it enough. I want to thank the veterans for their service. I'm running for city council because I want to be a bigger part of the community. As I've lived in Henderson, I've seen, you know, the things that happen in the city that they want to advertise. I want to be that voice. I want to hear what the citizens have to say. When they research a development or to change something, I want the citizens to be part of that. I go to the city council meetings, there's like 60 people there. There's 300,000 people in Henderson, so I want to be their voice. Education is one of the other things that's a huge deal to me. I actually volunteer for CCSD. I see what they're going through. I see the changes they're trying to make. And I think as a city we need to step in and help them make those changes. If we need to go to the state legislature and help them make those changes, we should be doing that. We do have a lot of development going on, and development and redevelopment is good for the city and the growth and for the citizens. But when we do that, we have to make sure that we do it in a way that keeps our quality of life currently or makes it better. So So just adding high density residency in an open space just because we can doesn't mean we should do it. We have to look at what's already there, what's the best for the city, what's best for the citizens, and what they think. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Just to let everybody know, we did invite all candidates in this race to come, and these are the ones that showed up. Again, thank you for being here. So we're going to go turn it to our panelists right now, and we're going to start with Doctor. So say your name, please.
My name is Robert Medoff. I'm a retired criminal court psychologist. First of all, welcome, gentlemen. We appreciate you coming. Second of all three of you have mentioned crime in Henderson. And I know basically what I would like to know is what specifically would you do to resolve that issue?
Right, so you guys you get 2 minutes to answer the question.
Crime is a big deal. It's a big deal everywhere. I moved from a city that had a crime issue, and they didn't have the funding for the police department, so they kept lowering their numbers. As they lowered the numbers of officers, the crime went in the opposite direction. It kept going up. We need to make sure that all of our public safety, so fire, police, all of them have the right amount of people per capita. We need to make sure that we have an equitable ratio of public safety to citizens. We also have to make sure that all of those public safety departments have all the tools they need to perform their job. There are, we could be cutting edge on everything, but that's not necessarily going to fix the crime. We need to have the feet on the ground, getting out there, seeing what's happening, and intervening in it.
Yeah, first of all, you may not be aware that there's an ongoing war between City Hall and the police. The police there is like Lombardo. Just don't talk about problems. Everything is peachy. Just like the October 1 shooting. Cover it up. Tremendous crime problems, especially in the neighborhood. What I like to do is stop that war between City Hall and the police. Give the police the authority to do their job. And secondly, I want to use something that we all know, social media. Okay, Henderson has a Facebook page, but it's a one-way street. You can't talk to one another like you and I on social media, right? Mr. Moore? We talk on social media. So we got to make the social media active. So citizens can talk, send videos. We all have cameras at, by the door. We have, in our HOA, we exchange information about 300 homes. Watch out for this one, watch out for that car. You should be able to, put that on social media. The best thing is informed citizens and well-armed citizens. So the bad people know, don't come in this neighborhood. That's what I'm going to do. Social media, contact, on full-time basis. I like to do that in City Hall. Right now, we don't have that communication. Like I said, the whole city is owned by the developers. They come in and leave.
30 seconds.
They really don't care about that. So I'm going to improve social media, and I want to be able to give the police more resources. Currently, we're paying middle-level city manager $300,000. Can you imagine that? 300 grand for a job that should take only $80,000. Corruption is rampant. We got to change that. Thank you.
Well, see, the crime in Henderson is actually it's caused directly because of drugs. Okay, we have a drug problem in Henderson, and the current administration and city council does not want to talk about that. Okay, they hide it. They pretend as if downtown Henderson is revitalized and that they're taking proper measures to address it. The problem is in downtown Henderson we have homeless people, we have drugs, and it's so bad that stealing, the theft, all that. It's so bad that Walmart can't even be 24 hours in downtown Henderson. Our local Walmart cannot be 24 hours because during the midnight hours and 2 a.m. there's people on drugs. They're going in there. They're stealing from Walmart, and that's a problem. The drug problem is absolutely a huge cause of crime, and also the way we're going to take care of that is nonprofits. We need nonprofits in Henderson because they will help us to get people off of drugs, and also the nonprofits are producers in our economy. I don't know if the city council, they think that everything has to be paid for by taxpayers. That's just ridiculous. We can use our tax dollars to strengthen our police force, as Nathan Conrad said, but we can also not use tax dollars to get people off drugs and to prevent crime. We can do that using nonprofit organizations to make people become better. Okay? People can learn to become better and to grow as citizens. So, yeah, that's how we're doing that.
Thank you very much for your answers. Not one of you mentioned the judicial system, the judges. That's where it starts from. The police are out arresting them, and the judges are letting them go as fast as they get arrested.
Hi, my name is Christina Ortiz. I'm a U.S. Army retired and the Veterans in Politics Nevada Chapter Director. My question is actually going to go back to one of the earlier questions. How do you feel about tenured teachers, and how do you feel about having armed guards in the schools in Henderson?
Well, I think that having armed guards in the schools is a great idea. I believe that with us not knowing what our children are being subject to when they go to school, we don't know what's going to happen in that schoolhouse. We need somebody there. We don't need, to be able to call the police and them come. We don't know how long it's going to take them to show up. We need somebody on that school that is armed and that can fight any people that come in to cause harm to the youth. That's a big problem, and thank you for that question.
I agree with Danny. I support armed guard. We should guarantee safety of the children at any cost. Number one job, and so arming them and properly training them. I agree with that. Secondly, on the tenure issue, tenure was developed for academic freedom. So teachers, professors, can speak freely, but unfortunately, most of them now are communists and socialists. Okay, it doesn't work on the conservative side. There is no academic freedom for conservatives. So the tenure, we got to think about that. It is so difficult to fire somebody, but there's got to be a revised. So if one person is given the tenure and the other person on the opposite, ideas cannot exercise academic freedom, then tenure should be revised. But in general, I support tenure.
Tenure for the teachers on the face, it's a great idea. They do it, we want to show the teachers the support for the time they put in and all the work they've done to get there. But that doesn't mean once you get there and you've done that you can start to slack off. I don't think everyone does that, but there are people that get tenure that are like, well, I'm set now. We just need to look at making sure that we're doing other things to make those teachers still feel involved and that they can still do things, not base everything upon just making it to that milestone so that they can feel safer for the rest of their career. As for the safety and police in the schools, I think that it is important for there to be safety, security in the schools, but I think we have to start outside. We have to police the neighborhood, we have to police the grounds, we have to educate the children and the parents when they see something to say something so we can make sure the neighborhoods around schools stay safe. I actually moved from a city where children had to go through metal detectors to go to elementary school. I think if we start in the neighborhood, we avoid having a police officer sitting in every classroom. Do I think we should have police on site? Yes, that is a good idea because you don't know what's going to happen, especially when you're working on a neighborhood. A public school takes all kinds of children. You don't know what their home life is, so we have to plan for the safety of all of the students.
John Moore, former Nevada Assemblyman. Thank you all for being here this morning. My question is, currently in Henderson, the police chief there is embroiled in controversy. She's under investigation. Your police department has a reputation for being extremely heavy-handed with the citizens, especially on traffic stops and that. There's numerous lawsuits as a result of that. And my question is, what, as a city council person, would you do, or what sort of plan would you enact, or policies, to bring the Henderson Police Department more in line with the citizens that they are supposed to protect and keyword serve?
Part of my former life, I've actually been to a police academy in another state, and I graduated. I never worked as a police officer, but I've had the education. It's a difficult job. It's a hard job to do, and when you approach a car, you don't know what you're getting into. Generally, the citizens in Henderson are upstanding people, but when you walk up to that car, you don't know. I've been stopped by the Henderson police a few times. I would agree, there's occasions when they were maybe a little heavy-handed with it. It came up and they just assumed the worst immediately. So I understand why they do it from their training, but I think with more education, teaching them, so they can see, look for all the signs, so when you're going to be heavy-handed, you have a solid reason for doing that. As for the police department and the police chief, we have to, when there are allegations, we have to look into it. We have to see what those allegations are, and I think expedience is kind of important when you're looking at a position like that. We don't need to drag out the investigation. We need to get in, we need to investigate, we need to find out what's going on, and then we need to move forward with the proper move. If it's discipline, if it's removal, but we have to make sure that we're doing that in a speedy manner and not just kind of letting it happen as it will.
You remember the the Greek philosopher Plato says, who shall guard the guardian? The guardians of the police, right? Now, the thing of it is they have a very difficult job. When they leave home, there's no guarantee they'll come home alive. So you got to appreciate that. It's a difficult job. And in Henderson, there are 3 people reporting directly to the council. City manager, the clerk, and the city attorney. The police chief reports to the city manager. So as I said before, we need to increase communication. Facebook, for example. There's other social medias, but I like to use Facebook. If we have an interactive Facebook between citizens and the city council, where everything unfiltered can go in there, videos, what's going on the street, like you said about people getting stuck. We learn from that through education, through communication, better communication with the police. Now Henderson is small enough, even though it's the 2nd largest city in Nevada. Number 3 is North Las Vegas, number 4 Reno. So we're small enough, all of us have to communicate. The old-fashioned way is a letter, a phone call, that won't do it. Social media is great. How many of you have been on at 3 o'clock in the morning, right, where you can't sleep? There are people out there reading, and you can keep talking. You can send videos of what's happening on the street, what's happening with the police. When the police stop you, you can take a video, put it on social media, and then talk, get quick response. I think that's the only way of doing it. Being a big family, we can do that. And the police must respect civil liberties, definitely. But it's also a difficult job. There's a lot of bad people out there. Right? I consider myself a good person because I respect authority, basically. I was brought up that way. So, communication, instant response, and response from the police chief and the mayor. That's critical. I'm going to do that to increase communication effectively.
Well, I think that social media, as Eddie said, social media is important because that can break the line between government and people, and same thing with the police. I think that there's probably a huge void in the way that we view our police officers. Obviously, they are given authority over us, and so I think a lot of people, especially our youth, feel as if they're inferior to the police officers, so there's not a personal connection to our police force, which is possible through social media. But I also believe that, like anything, just like an elected official, when you give power to somebody, they take that power as far as they can take it, and oftentimes police officers are no different. So I believe that our police officers should be trained to know their power and to know that they also should not abuse that power when they're approaching a traffic stop, when they're, don't use excessive force when it's not needed. And that's all through training. And if we can bring our training to Henderson, right now North Las Vegas is training our police officers, so if we can bring our training to Henderson, we have more control over that, and that's what the city council needs to do. And as Eddie mentioned, that the police chief reports to the city manager, and I believe that that's a communication problem. If the city council and the city manager have a communication issue, then how is the chief and the city council ever going to be able to communicate in terms of training the officers and making sure proper steps are taken? So that's a problem in the line of communication.
John Maracich, thank you for being here as well. I'm not a big fan of marijuana, or at least I never have been. But as a veteran and looking at things like CBD, which is a specific extract from marijuana, I've seen the benefits that it's had for veterans and people with mental disorders and mental health issues. I would like to know your point of view on the marijuana industry, how it affects Henderson, and how you feel about expanding that industry overall.
Number one, you know Jerry Brown, Governor Moonbeam of California. I'm not a fan of it, but he's a real big industry. Marijuana, just like alcohol, is a mind-altering drug. You can trip out there and get high, do stupid things, you know? So we need more research on marijuana, just like research on cigarettes and everything else. Nothing of that is being done, okay? So we need more research on marijuana, and it is the golden goose, you can say, because did you hear the report a week ago? Marijuana has surpassed in Nevada the tax revenue than alcohol. Alcohol has been around since when? Time immemorial, right? In just 6 months, more money is being collected from marijuana. So it is something that, you know, you can get money on, tremendous taxes on it. Sin tax, retail tax, wholesale, so you need more research on that one. Now, I've heard about CBD oil, you know, being able to cure just about anything. I'm not sure that's true or not. We need research. The government spends billions on researching on medicine, right? Why not on marijuana? So we know for sure if it is real. I don't want something bogus as promoted, you know, on the back of the Cracker Jack box and saying marijuana is the greatest thing, but it could be. We need more research. So before we expand, it's going to happen anyway. The pot smoking lounges for tourists, probably it'll be happening. They go there, they stay a week longer here because they won't remember things. You know what I'm saying? Credit card might be maxed out. So it's a good industry. Thank you.
So yes, I agree. It can be beneficial in terms economically, and also, you know, it provides a big revenue, but also it can provide benefits to certain people. But the problem is, my problem with marijuana is that, again, with our youth and our future, we don't know, legalization of marijuana makes it easier for not only people to get their hands on marijuana, but our youth. And so I have 3 brothers, 2 of them, well, actually one of them is in high school, and I have one in elementary school, and I pick them up from school every day. And I can tell you that there are elementary school students with vape pens, and they can also smoke marijuana. I mean, this is stuff that's happening in elementary school, middle school, and high school. It's just unbelievable. I'm sure many of you have children, and that's disturbing, you know, that our children are getting, I don't know what's going on with the mic, but our children are getting exposed to this type of stuff, and the legalization of it makes it easier for them to do that. And so that makes it even harder to is that one on or something? Makes it even harder for our children to grow into successful individuals when they have problems with drugs starting at a young age.
I think it's the recreational part of the marijuana industry that causes the problem. Now that it's been put in a position where kind of anyone can get it, it becomes more recreational than it was before. If we're going to use it for a medical purpose, let's treat it like it's a medication. Let's continue to keep it regulated. Let's continue to keep it only in the hands of those people that it's truly going to benefit for. I don't think that just blanketing it across the board saying, well, it generally works, let's try it. It seems like one of those, like just like narcotics, you don't want to overprescribe stuff, things of that sort. making marijuana easily available to everyone increases that recreational part, which is what I see as the dangerous part of it. One of the things we could do, and I'm glad Danny said something, because I guess I've seen it, but I didn't even think about it. Kids today have, things I didn't get until I was done with college, elementary school students have now. They have cell phones, they have tablets, they have vape pens. I guess if we search them, they may have more than that. I don't know, but I think we need to make sure that it's regulated, and we're not only educating the students, we need to educate the parents. There may be students that have that paraphernalia, and their parents didn't even know. Maybe they don't even know what it is. So the education has to go across the board: students, parents, community, so we can help everyone get a handle on the situation.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That continues our time. We're going to give you a minute to tell the voters why they should vote for you. So who would like to go first?
I want to be that voice that I don't think the citizens are getting right now. I want to make sure that everyone's opinion is heard, and that we're making decisions not only based upon what the people in leadership think is best, but I want to know what the citizens think is best. We did do a huge Henderson Strong initiative where they tried to plan ahead for the future. You kind of look at that when they say how many people in the community participated in it. If we have 300,000 people, I think at that time they said it was 250,000, the numbers of citizen participation were very low. So I want to be that voice. I want to get it into the education. We shouldn't be the 47th ranked state for education. We need to be #1. If we want to be a great community, we need to move forward with that. We need to take the steps to improve education, and I want to be the person that does that for you.
As I said in my opening remarks, I'll focus on local situation, fighting crimes, keeping lower taxes, and draining the swamp. To that extent, last week I filed what is called an EIVR, Election Integrity Violation Report, to the Secretary of State to investigate Mayor Deborah March and Councilman Stewart. They abused the power. It was election meddling, Russian style. They used social media, Facebook, Instagram, everything that the city owns, and promote the candidacy of Stewart. When we protested that one, they stopped it, but the crime has been committed, so that criminal investigation is with the Secretary of State. It's called EIVR. Secondly, I want to do state local politics. I'm going to be in City Council to protect your liberties, your constitutional liberties, by writing ordinances nullifying. The nullification is very much a part of the U.S. Constitution and the common law. You will see counties all over America. Thank you. Nullification.
What our government lacks is passion. We have too many elected officials that get into office because of money, because that's what other elected officials, that's a position they want them in. And as a candidate and as an elected official, I am passionate about this. I want to be the voice of the people, and I think that it's absolutely ridiculous that we have candidates that will campaign and go out of their way to make a connection with people to earn their vote, yet they won't do that same thing. They won't go and canvass while they're candidates, or while they're elected officials, and see what's going on in the community. They won't reach out to the voters and see what the constituents want to see done on the city council. And that is why we need young people in office. That is why we need people that are passionate and determined to make a difference. Because everybody will promise it on the campaign trail, but I guarantee you they get into office and it's a part-time position for them, and they don't care. Many people on the city council now are retired, and your voice is not what matters to them. The developer's voice, the developer's money is what matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates. This is Veterans in Politics. Go ahead, clap. This is Veterans in Politics endorsement interviews in 2019 for Henderson City, Ward 1. We want to thank everyone for being out here. We want to thank our sponsors, Fire Rock Steakhouse, Bar and Gaming, Real Water, that's right, Real Water, thank you, and Michael Broadway, Real Estate. So again, thank you. This concludes our interviews.